that doesn't look like what the other pollsters are getting. We're just not going to publish this poll.
It's definitely possible. I mean, I can tell you one thing. The internal polls from parties, they're absolutely not going to release certain polls that they have unless they're favorable.
Right.
Yeah.
But Washington Post, like, they had this truly awful Wisconsin poll in 2020.
Yeah, well, we remember.
But I actually give them credit for that, even though that was a disaster. Like, within reason, because, that poll sucked.
Yeah.
But they had the bravado to just release it anyway. Because
they had the balls to be like, well, this looks like what no one else is saying. And 17 points for Biden is kind of preposterous, but this is the result we got. So we're just going to put it out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And what did Biden win it by? 1?
Yeah.
Less than 1?
So it made me look bad, too.
Yeah.
That was like the worst polling average of all the elections I've tested. That was Wisconsin 2020 for like 40 years.
So wasn't that, was that Ipsos is who I'm thinking of?
No, it wasn't Ipsos.
Because that's what I was thinking of with that Harris.
Washington Post was partnered with last year, but they had an amazing track record, but that kind of broke up the relationship.
Yeah, right. I mean, that one was a disaster. I mean, what was the theory behind that one? It was like over-response bias by Democrats.
Yeah, like white
collar
professionals were sitting at home
answering
every phone call and dying to tell pollsters how much they love Joe Biden. Basically,
it was a lonely
the theory,
time.
right?
People wanted to talk to anyone.
I get it.
Yeah. Well, and there, I mean, part of that theory, and all of these are theories, like none of it is definitive, but part of that theory is because there was a partisan difference in how people responded to COVID. So if you were a liberal, you were more likely to be at home.
Yeah,
and if you were a Republican, you were more likely to just be out doing your thing. And so that's one of the theories. One of the things that I've never really heard assessed is in 2022, in the midterms, you get a polling this in the other direction, which underestimates Democrats. Now, maybe that's not relevant because it's a midterm election versus, with that electorate, which is smaller versus a general election. But have pollsters grabbed, like, what did they miss in 2022 that led to that, underestimation of Democrats that time?
Yeah, perhaps they missed to a degree how much swing voters ended up going against Republicans. I mean, in the average midterm, according to exit polls, the party out of power from the White House wins independents by 19 points.
Wow.
Democrats won it by 1%, so that's a 20% shift.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So you think that they underestimated how many, like, Democratic-leaning independents were going to show up or how they were going to cast their ballots?
Yeah, I think that might have been part of it. Probably underrated youth turnout. But to be honest, the GOP from a party standpoint, they had the same turnout advantage that an average party has in the midterm.
Right.
It was the bad performance of independents that did them in.
It's so interesting. Something we've been talking about a lot, we talked about Dave Weigel last week, was usually there are canary in the coal mine things that happened ahead of a shock. So 2014, there were a couple of congressional districts where you're like, oh, wow, like Republican in a Democratic area, and then boom, Trump shock comes in all the blue wall states. In 2022, obviously, we had all of these special elections, which were going crazy on abortion and for Democrats, and those ended up being very predictive, or at least a canary for what was going to happen. 2020, I believe, and I'm thinking back, there were a few congressional districts, too, that still show that things were more razor tight. This time around, we don't see that as much. So Omaha, for example, that Nebraska 2 district got polled just today. We were looking at it in the New York Times. Biden won it by 7. Harris is up by 12. So, I mean, that actually, look, it's Omaha, so whatever. But the point is that that's white, suburban. If that's nationally indicative, could be, that would be a real sign for strength for her. In other words, like, we don't see the same congressional canaries for the Republicans in this one for a shock, or for the Democrats in this one that would indicate them being so far down as they are in, let's say, betting averages like we do last time. Do you think I'm wrong? Like, how do you think about that?
Special elections Dems advantage was bigger in 2022, but it's still there. It's like 7 points or so, and that's a good sign for Democrats.
Right.
I think I keep hearing people who, some people are really smart like Nate Cohen, they're saying, oh, we can't listen to that because Democrats make up more in special elections. We don't really know if that's true, actually, yet.
Yeah, good point.
Because we don't have enough evidence to suggest it. We do know that historically, overperformance in special elections does have predictive value. I think if you view that as like the central thing that you're basing your election theory,
of course not.
Yeah, Harris isn't going to win, or is very unlikely to win by 7% nationally.
Right.
But it's a signal that Democrats are pretty motivated, they're energetic, and they're also donating a lot, volunteering a lot. Right. So those are good signs for her.
Okay.
Interesting. So much of this is just after you know the result, looking back and picking up the breadcrumbs, because at the time, nobody was thinking in 2016 necessarily like, oh, this is an indication that Hillary Clinton's going to lose. And no one was thinking really in 2022, oh, these special elections are an indication that Democrats are going to overperform. It's only after the fact that you figure all of that out. My last question for you, though, is I have seen some of these congressional district polls in New York, Pennsylvania, whatever that people try to read into. On average, is there any reason to feel like polling at the congressional district level, which is obviously smaller than the state level, is more accurate than national polls, state polls, et cetera? Or does it have basically the same margin of error and you should read into it the same level of potential polling miss as these larger geographic areas?
I would say that because polling averages are way less robust, just because people don't pay attention to one district as much, especially in presidential years, we just have a lot less data for them. So the individual polls themselves, yeah, they might be slightly more accurate, but as a collective group, they're way less accurate.
Because you just have less data to work with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. Let's put your Race to the White House projections up on the screen. We've got A8 here, where you think that things stand. And, oh, look at that. It's a coin flip. You got Kamala Harris at 51.8% chance. You got Trump at 48% chance. A tie at 0.2%. God forbid that it end up in a tie. Oh, my God. Please don't let that happen. Next, let's put the next graphic up on the screen, which really is the most important. This is how you're looking at the 7 key swing states. You've got Trump with an edge in Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina. You have Harris with an edge in Michigan, a narrow one in Nevada, in Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. I mean, all of these are narrow. The largest lead you have here is Harris, 1.4%, a whopping 1.4% in the state of Michigan. So talk us through, what this looks like, and also if you think it's likely we're going to have all 7 swing states move in the same direction, or if you think there might be a split between the blue wall states and the Sun Belt states.
So I'll just say to start that this map wasn't supposed to be all purple.
Oh,
It
yeah,
shades
you told us that.
as the party gets more of an advantage.
Yeah. It just ended up that way.
But
Yeah.
because it's so close, they're all purple.
They're all purple, exactly. And so I think it depends on how much they overperform, right? Like, let's say my projections are just perfect, which is not going to be the case. It's all the only thing that's going to
Hey,
be
you
off
never
is the
know,
national
Logan.
vote.
You
You
never
never
know.
know. Then I would say if Harris overperforms by 1.2%, then she'd be on track to win all the swing states, right?
Yeah.
So
True.
it doesn't take much of an overperformance. If it's slight, if the polls are pretty good, then we'll see more of a split decision. There's also going to be one state here, I guarantee you, that is going to jut left to right relative to our expectations, like Georgia and Florida did in opposite directions in 2020.
Yeah, oh, that's a great point. You're right. In terms of Florida came out much more Republican in 2020. I remember that. That was the first sign that the election was going to be a lot closer than people thought, was when it came in so quickly for Trump. And we're like, oh, okay, all right, this is a signal for something. And then Georgia, of course, just the later on in the night that it went, I remember, what was it, the New York Times needle started edging from red to blue to right in the middle. And we're like, oh, wow, this is actually going to be something. So on election night, you're going to be with us, obviously. But what are some of the canaries for you early on in the night?
I differ from almost everyone else in my field in that I don't like to choose specific races as canaries.
Good. Yeah.
And the reason I don't is because a strong overperformance in rural places or a strong performance by Dems in urban areas and vice versa can absolutely determine an election. That's how Trump won in 2016. He ran up the margins in the rural areas. So the bellwether states, if you do 2% better in the bellwether state and win it, but you get clobbered in your areas of weakness, you're still going to lose.
Great point. Fantastic
Great point. I do want to emphasize to people, as Sagar just mentioned, Logan is going to be with us on election night, crunching all the data and looking at all those areas and helping us understand everything as it comes in. And we'll see you next week on Monday, day before Election Day. So always great to see you, my friend. And, thank you for helping break all of this down for us.
Good to see you, man. Thank you.
See you guys too. Thanks.
Yeah, it's our pleasure.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.